What's up, party people? Why is she screaming like that? That's a little rude or uncomfortable. I don't know. What's up, party people of the SFL? You guys got anything going on tonight? Is there like a NFL game or something and maybe a little show called Axis Live? Yep, that's what's up. Welcome to the show and thanks for tuning in tonight. Appreciate all of you. Let me know if you can hear me okay. I know you guys could hear the music because I saw all the comments. By the way, I'm your host, Dave Axis, as always. We have an amazing panel for you tonight to break down the Week 10 games coming up this weekend. Oh, we got breaking news by Benji Matson. Let's see what it is. St. Louis versus London contest to be decided by a dance battle. DJ Dave Axis to officiate. Book it. Book it, Benji. Let's do it. All right. We also have Gunny's Pearls of Wisdom tonight, as always. Your Week 9 Diva of the Week winner. It might be a surprise to everybody. Just saying. We'll also be breaking down what has been called weeks ago the HFC, the home field cheese of the SFL. We've got stats for that for this season so far. And we'll talk some more about the playoffs, and both those will be in the After Dark session or the After Dark segment. All right, before I introduce tonight's panel and get into the crowd or whatever, let me throw up the schedule for Week 10. Las Vegas at Atlanta right out the gate. Atlanta home field advantage. They're in that 4 and 5 mix. They're gonna need to win. Mexico City coming off a tough loss against Lone Star at Tulsa. I'm sure they're favoring that game. Louisiana. Are they gonna have a letdown game versus Fort Worth? Remember what Fort Worth did to Sioux Falls earlier this season. So who knows what's going to go on in that game. Denver at Chicago. We'll get into the Jacks data later, but that's the biggest spread of the weekend. Carolina at Houston. Two teams that desperately need W's. Lone Star at Queen City. We are coming off a great victory last week, but anytime you go into Queen City, it's scary. Vancouver at Arizona. Arizona trying to get back in the win column, as well as Vancouver, actually. Vancouver being one of the teams I think this year we've talked about, surprisingly not in the playoff picture as of today. Charleston at Portland. Can Portland get a home win? Can they get that second W this season? And then London at St. Louis. London looking for payback after St. Louis robbed them at the end of that game earlier in the season. Going into the Monday night games, Sioux Falls and Baltimore. This, for me, is the game of the week. You got two teams with the same records. They're only separated by one seeding. Even their logos look similar, and they're both birds. I mean, there needs to be a rivalry name for this. If you guys are in the chat, start throwing out rivalry names for a Sioux Falls Baltimore thing. Let's get on that. Speaking of rivalries, the crowd play game of the week. Jacksonville gets that 9 o'clock Monday slot back-to-back weeks going to Florida for the Battle of I-95. So we've got a crazy, crazy full slate of games, lots of playoff implications. And we're going to jump into that in a moment. Let me see who is in the chat. Who wants to party on a Thursday night here? Let's see. Gunny's here. Doug Britton. Wiggy 9800. Good to see all you guys. Pink Lisa in the house. Bo Martin Jr. Ethan Kai. I'm glad you made it in here to hear your music just for you. Let's see. Frank, of course. Amy, good to see you in here. Bob Funk. Jeff Duffy. Who else we got? Benji, of course. I kind of figured numbers would be a little low tonight going head-to-head with the NFL, but we'll see what's going on. Bo Martin Jr., if I didn't already say you. AJ, sweetie, what's up? Good to see you. Yep, and I always go back and listen to my shows the same night, and I saw the chat between AJ and Cam, and I will never call him sweetie, so don't worry about that. I got some other names for him, though. Hey, who's keeping score tonight? Do I get one for that? Let's see. Ray's in the house. Good to see you. Jeremy, thanks for popping in. And Hugo at the last second. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate you guys splitting time with Access Live and the NFL. All right, let's get this party started. Let's introduce our panel for tonight. First off, our old steady hipster of the show, the franchise, is with us again tonight. Frank Wade is in the house. Frank, what's going on, bro?
Hey, party people, are you ready?
Oh yeah, we are ready. This is, dude. I love the games this week. I'm telling you. We've also got Mr. Arizona Everything, who literally needs no introduction. Eddie Gage is with us. Eddie, what's going on, bro?
What's going on? How y'all doing tonight?
We're doing outstanding. We have an amazing wide receiver who plays in Chicago. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Cuban Missile is with us tonight. Greg Soto is in the house. Greg, what is up?
Oh man, I'm doing great here, Dave. I don't know if you heard that. I'm on location tonight. I left my office, but I'm here doing the show from a chicken coop. So let's get it going, man. Party in the chicken coop right now.
Partying with it in the chicken coop. I don't even know what to say about that. And last, and certainly not least, our special guest previewer for this evening, former running back great and current cornerback, head coach, and owner of the glorious Lone Star Glory, Charles Doherty is with us. Charles, what is up?
Hello, party people in the house.
And that's a party person if you ever heard one. Hey, if you guys, hey, real quick, wait, really, Wink, you gave Cam one. He's not even here, and you gave him one. That's unbelievable. I don't. You know what? I don't. You guys keep score like soccer refs, like FIFA does. For God's sake, give me a break. All right, let's see. I guess we should just dive into this bad boy. Eddie's gonna lead us off tonight. Let me get this first game up for you guys. Oh, maybe I won't get that first game up. There we go. All right. So we've got. Man, I'm having all kinds of problems today. All right, there you go. Las Vegas at Atlanta to start. Las Vegas leaves the friendly confines of home. Both 4 and 5 teams. Atlanta has a little bit of edge in the playoffs. Eddie, we're going to talk about home field advantage later. Is there Atlanta have enough home field advantage to take care of this game, or do you think Vegas is going to go in there and take care of business?
First of all, before I get into that, Dave, just a little synopsis of this offseason, just really quick for these teams. Atlanta won a championship, and Marcus Dunhill retired off into the sunset, hung up the cleats, and decided to take his talent to the front office. Said enough is enough. I'm getting tired of all these hits in the back. I'm out of here. Take my championship, and I'm going home. They bring in a rookie QB, Bryant Dynasty, former kicker for your Arizona Scorpion. As a rookie, he is currently leading the league in pass yards. But then trouble comes. Jack Napier contract is voided right before the start of the season. So they lose one of the better corners right as he was on a cusp of starting to really progress his player. The season started, and everyone thought, rookie QB, they got to rely on that defense. And what did they do? Out the gate, they shocked Baltimore and just run up and down the field the entire day. In fact, Brian Dynasty was not only was he player of the game, but I also believe he won Diva of the Week award when week 1 as well. So like I say, he's leading the league in passing yards, but what shocked me more throughout this season is that BDG rush attempts are down this season. Why, I don't know. I asked Mark about that a couple of weeks ago, and he says, Eddie, listen, I'm going to make defenses dictate to us what I want to do. I'm not gonna allow them to dictate the pace. I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna if I want to throw the ball 30, 40 times a game, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna dictate the pace. I said, okay. With a rookie QB, he said, that's right. And so with his QB leading the league in passing yards, how can I argue with that? Vegas, on the other hand, at the end of the offseason, Robert Redford, who'd been there for I believe 3 seasons at the time, decided to take off, left him high and dry. Their best offensive player on the team took his talents to Vancouver across the border. Memphis Blue retired, who in my opinion was one of the better players in this league. Chris Braun retired. He's gone. They draft Scott Johnson. They go with a 4 wide receiver set, and their run game struggles out the gate. And it has pretty much all season until they came up against Florida, and Scott Johnson went off for 200 plus yards. I believe he had 3 rushing touchdowns.
Right.
They had a great game. But this defense surrenders 24 points a game. They have Red Sawyer to rely on. He moved from defensive tackle to defensive end and did not skip a beat. So when I look at this game, how do I see it breaking down? If you look at the stats, both these teams defensive numbers are about the same. So it's going to be a close matchup. Mark is giving me some little bit of inside information. He doesn't think so. We'll see. It's going to be a great game. But if you ask me if I'm a betting man, which I'm not because I'm cheap, I'm going to pick Atlanta to walk away with a 10-point win.
Well, as you mentioned the graphic, as I'm looking at them right now, what stands out to me the most is Las Vegas only averaging 13 rushing yards per game on the road.
Yep.
You cannot win on the road in the SFL with stats like that. It's just virtually impossible.
Impossible.
Jack's data has Atlanta favored by 6.5, which is less than Eddie's 10. Over under 55.5. And in the Who You Got, overwhelmingly 103-34 right out the gate. Atlanta, we've SFL Nation has taken Atlanta to beat Vegas in the very first game on Saturday, which, by the way, is 3 p.m. Eastern on 11 Sports. Moving over to Game 2, also on 11 Sports, at 5 o'clock Eastern. Mexico City, coming off that tough loss, like I said, to Lone Star. Going to Tulsa, looking for redemption, Frank. Do they get it?
Dave, both teams coming into this game, 2-game losing streak. Something has got to give. Mexico City is 2-3 on the road, and they bring in their number 5 rated offense to meet the 19th ranked Tulsa defense. Mexico City is averaging almost 418 yards a game on the road. Mexico City passing attack is ranked second in the league with 328 yards per game. Receiver leader over all receivers and tight ends is Mike Daggs. He has 1,093 yards on 69 catches. Matt Wilson has thrown for 2,955 yards, 19 touchdowns, but also 19 interceptions. Phoenix Jones has 526 yards rushing on 138 carries, only scored 4 touchdowns. The defense is ranked 8th, but they give up over 30 points a game on the road. We need to see if their defensive line can get some pressure on the quarterback this weekend. I believe Ace Fennick was not touched last weekend at all. Deacon Nickens for Tulsa has thrown for 2,100 yards, 12 touchdowns, but he's has 22 interceptions. I believe that is close to like 5th or 6th overall in interceptions by a quarterback. And of course, they've got Gabriel Manning. You know, what kind of day is he going to have? Is he going to be quiet or is he going to be explosive? There's no in between. It's either one or the other. Been quiet as of late, has 882 yards receiving. Sanzo Robinson, 730 yards rushing on 178 carries for a 4.1 average, but only has 3 touchdowns this year. Corey Jones, he tries to step up and when teams take away Manning, and does a pretty good job. He did a good job against us when Vegas played him. He's got 497 yards. He's tied with Manning with 5 touchdowns. Defensively, DJ Majesty is 3rd in tackles overall with 101, 88 solo tackles. I think this game is going to be a rebound game for Mexico City, even though it's going to be on the road. If Tulsa's offense can be explosive with Manning involved and everything like that, Mexico City is going to have a hard time. But I do think this is going to be a rebound game for Mexico City.
Yeah, I think we found that early in the season as Manning goes, Tulsa goes, but then he got hurt, and I think they won that game or they were in that game that he got hurt early. And then since then, I think it's pretty much been as Deacon Nickens goes, they go. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll see if Mexico City can rebound as well. Jack's data has Tulsa favored by 3 at home over Mexico City. So that's an interesting, a 3-6 team out of the playoff picture, favored over a 5-4, 7th-seeded team. Over under a 51.5 and 116-23, another big gap for SFL Nation in the Who You Got. Moving on to the third game on Saturday is Fort Worth. And this is I don't know if this is a trap game maybe, Greg, or not, but Fort Worth, Louisiana riding high, number 1 seed, off a big victory at Jacksonville. Can this be a letdown game for them?
I don't think so. Dave. You got the number 1 team in the SFL literally going against a visiting Fort Worth, ranked 18th. They're 1-4 away. Louisiana hasn't lost at home at all. They're coming off of 5 wins in a row. They're only the way I look at it is just what we do here. It's just you look at home and away. Louisiana is scoring on average 30 points a game. They're only giving up 22 at home, but Fort Worth is only scoring 15 points away. And they're giving up 21 points a game on average. Fort Worth is. Pickler coming off a hell of a week, player of the week, almost 350 yards, 6 touchdowns. Streeter, 196 yards for him. I just do not see this as a letdown for the Revolution. I think it's just too much firepower at home. I think they continue that winning streak to 6, and I think it's going to be big. I think Revolution win 37-14 and just walk away by halftime.
Wow. Well, that is a big, bold prediction. Jack's data thinks that Louisiana is going to win by 10.5 points with an over-under of 57.5, but SFL Nation 108-26 for Louisiana. So 3 games in a row, not even close, according to SFL Nation on the Who You Got.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be. I think Fort Worth might do something maybe in the first quarter, but after that, it's just they're rocking. The Revolution are just rocking all the way through. I just don't see them losing this game.
Yeah, Mike Twin Screw doing a hell of a job. Moving on to the nightcap on Saturday. That Fort Worth, Louisiana game, 8 o'clock Eastern on Twitch. This game, Denver at Chicago, 8:15 on YouTube. Denver, second seed right now if the playoffs started today, basically tied for first place against a struggling Chicago team, Charles. Does the home field advantage help Chicago at all, or do you think Denver's going to go in there and roll?
Dave, I don't want to jump off script, but what is that picture in your profile? I'm trying to figure out what that is.
Those are my sleeves, baby. Those are my sleeves.
Oh, good. I was thinking it was something else. Okay.
This is a family show, bro.
So what pops out at me when I was looking over this game on the Denver side, they're one of the hottest teams in the league. They've got a 5-game winning streak. They're number 1 in points per game. Top 5 passing yards per game, top 5 rushing yards per game, top 5 passing touchdowns per game, top 5 rushing touchdowns per game, and third down conversions is an insane. I've got 61%. I know you've got 56. I guess that's when they're on the road.
Yeah,
but overall 61%, and that's crazy. On the defense side, they're top 5 in points allowed, and Chicago on the other side of the ball, they've got the longest losing streak at 4. They started out, I believe, at 4-1.
They did,
and now they're 0-4, 4-5. E.T. King, their quarterback, threw 4 interceptions last week. He's thrown 8 during the 4-game losing streak. And he was sacked 19 times in the last 3 games.
Wow.
On the other side of the ball, McChesney is the 4th leading running back in the league, 2nd in touchdowns only. Streeter, last week he had a heck of a game with 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, Denver they're an absolute beast. And it's going to be tough for Chicago. I think Chicago's going to – the thing about Chicago is they've got a lot of quality players on their team. I think that they can hang with them. I just don't know if they're going to be able to run the distance with Denver. I mean, Denver is they just keep pounding at you, and they don't let up. So I don't think Chicago can keep up with them, and I'm thinking at least a 10-point victory.
Well, Jack's data agrees with you and then some. This is the largest spread of the entire weekend. They have Denver favored by 16.5, so almost 17 points, which is one of the largest spreads I think I've seen all season. Over under a 56.5, and another wide margin in the Who You Got by SFL Nation, 128-16. This might be a good time to remind everybody, and I know we mention it like every other show, but on our graphics, remember it's the away team's away stats and the home team's home stats. So Denver averages 364 yards on the road, and Chicago 318 at home. So just to clear that up in case anybody is new here or has missed us saying that in the past. That wraps up Saturday's slate of games. Moving on to Sunday, kicking us off on Sunday, is Carolina at Houston. 2 4-5 teams, certainly not out of it. Houston obviously with an edge so far since they're considered the 12th seed just out of the playoffs. I don't know, Eddie. Carolina and Houston. I don't know which way to go on this game, to be honest with you. I don't know how close Jack's data has it, but for me, this is almost a pick 'em.
Well, Dave, typically I would agree with you, but this game is in Houston, and Houston has only lost at home once this year. It was a couple of weeks ago against Louisiana, and throughout that game, they were right there in it. In fact, they started this game out, I believe, with a 10-point lead early on until Louisiana came storming back and walked away with a 10-point win of their own, I believe it was. It's their only loss at home this year. They're a tale of two different teams. It seems like on the road they struggle. They got their first road win versus London this past week, but before that they were winless on the road. So at home they're a totally different animal, and I don't know what it is, but this season, all quiet as kept, Kentez is playing fantastic. Carolina, they recently had a coaching change, which caught me off guard, and they played us last week, and we could not stop a cold on that game. Defensively, they were just on the money. They surprised me to a couple of different looks that they hadn't shown all season, and as soon as I saw it, I told myself, we're in trouble. So they came out and attacked us vertically downfield, which is something they haven't traditionally done. So both teams got a couple of things going on for them. They're both 4-5, just outside of the playoff race. If they win, depending on everything else goes, they could find themselves right at the bottom of that playoff bracket as well. Carolina only has 4 wins on the season, but 2 of them came in the last 4 games. They came in ranked 15th, averaging 22 points a game, and their defense, surprisingly, is 15th, giving up 25 points a game. Last season, they were one of the league's best, but not sure what's going on there, but they kind of took a step back this season. But so it's pretty much every other team in the SFL. It's just so much parity this season. It's just ridiculous, and Cam called it. However, I think the key for them getting a victory this weekend will be maintaining a balanced attack. Last week, they got their running back, Jack, involved heavily in the offense, and I believe he had like 160 yards rushing by the end of the game. But one thing that does kind of alarm me is last season, Zane Doty led the entire SFL, their cornerback, with 13 interceptions. This season, he doesn't have 1. Not quite sure what happened there. It's just one of those fluke seasons. But yeah, he was the league leader. He was among talks of Defensive Player of the Year. But he did not win that award. But this season, he doesn't have a single interception. So not quite sure what's going on there. Houston, on the other hand, as I just said, they are 5th in the entire SFL at 29 points per game. They are rolling. Kentez is having a phenomenal season. Despite his high turnovers, they just keep that offense rolling. He's 3rd in the SFL with 20 TD passes. Also, they're 4th in the SFL in rushing, averaging 124 yards rushing per game. This team offensively can carry them. Eric Garrison, a couple weeks ago when they played, or about 4 weeks ago when they played Mexico City, neither team could stop each other until Garrison's pick 6 with like a minute left in the fourth quarter sealed that win for them. So I think Houston at home can win this game, but like I said, with the changes that Carolina has made and their coaching staff offensively, you just never know. So we'll see. We have to just wait back and see what happened, but we'll see.
Let me ask you a quick question. You said Carolina had a coaching change?
I might have spilled the beans there a bit. Not sure that's public knowledge, but
what is it now?
Sorry,
bro. Okay, then. On that note, make sure if you guys have any a name for the the rivalry between Baltimore and Sioux Falls, put it in the chat and at Winkler. I see one already from Jeremy. He says it should be called the battle for the second best bird team. Hey, yo. That was pretty good. Who's the first best team? Who's number one bird team there, Jeremy? Who you got in mind? All right, so Jack's data has this game, Houston favored by 3, over under 51.5, and this is the first who you got that's a little closer, 75-60 for Houston, so only 15 votes separating those two as of, I don't know, about an hour or so before this show began, so they might even be closer now. All right, moving on to what I think is the game of the day for Sunday. This is a test for Lone Star. We've had some really good victories. We just came off a really great victory against Mexico City. Queen City is having a down year, Frank, but they're, what are they, 4-time previous champs. They still have the same owner. You can't sleep on Queen City at all.
Oh, that is true, especially playing them at home. The 6th seed, Lone Star Glory, sitting at 5-4. They're 3-1 on the road. Queen City is 2-2 at home. The Glory's 7th-ranked defense is going to be the difference if it can stop Queen City's 9th-ranked offense. The Bash Brothers will take on Jet Zero, who has 500 yards rushing, but only 1 touchdown on the whole year. A.J. Caswell, who is tied for second with 24 interceptions, will be trying to hit his favorite targets, James Matthews Jr. with 838 yards and Chris Curtis with 815. They have combined for 13 touchdowns. Jeff Duffy is 4th in the sack race with 13.5, only 2 behind my teammate Rhett Sawyer, who has 15.5. Albert Begin is 9th in total tackles with 88, 63 solo. The Caldwell boys are going to be, or Cardell boys, I should say, are going to be busy this weekend trying to protect Ace, who will be behind center, throwing for 2,386 yards so far, 15 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. But the interceptions have been low the past few weeks. He hasn't had that game here lately like he did at the beginning of the year where he was throwing multiple interceptions in the game. Ike McBride is getting her carries that she needs for a 4.1 average and 7 touchdowns. Liam Hammer, Dave Access have combined for 9 touchdowns and almost 1,300 yards, but its Offensive Rookie of the Year candidate, Adam Williams, tight end, has 821 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Wow.
You've got Lincoln Kingseed Jr. is 6th in tackles with 94. Jukin Rukin has 9 sacks. That's good enough for 9th overall. Al Lewis has 8.5. He's just right behind him at 10th overall. This is going to be a great game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think QCC is hang tough with them, but I think it's going to be the Glory defense that's going to be too much, and it's going to help them move that one step closer to securing that playoff spot.
Yeah, I hope so. Queen City does make me nervous, though, I'll tell you that. Jack's data apparently has some faith in Lone Star. They have us favored by 7.5, with an over-under, though, of only 48.5. And almost as usual, the norm, nearly every week, the closest who you got is, as of just a few minutes ago, it looks like Lone Star 71-70, only 1 vote up on Queen City. So we'll see how that pans out too as we get closer to the weekend. Moving on to the midday game on Sunday. Vancouver at Arizona. I know we got Eddie Gage on the panel tonight. They've been struggling a little bit. AJ's been struggling a little bit, but so has Vancouver, to be honest with you, Greg. So this is a little bit like that Carolina-Houston game for me. I'm not sure what to make of it.
Yeah, I was looking at this. I was looking at the away stats and the record and home, and Arizona's ranked 10th, Vancouver 16th. They both come off of losses. But just looking at Arizona at home, they're 3-1. Vancouver away is 1-4. Vancouver's only scoring on average 19 points away, and they're giving up 24 points away, which is perfect for Arizona. They're scoring about 25 points a game at home, and they're only giving up 14. Ashley had a bad game last week. I think she will be able to bounce back along with Arizona at home. I don't think that Ashley's going to throw 3 interceptions again this week. It will be close, but I do feel that Arizona will pull this out at the end. I feel it's going to be like a 27-24 win for Arizona at home, and they'll go 4-1 at home and move to 5-5 and get a little bit closer to possibly getting a better seed to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, the Jack's data is pretty much right on line with you. They have Arizona favored by 3.
Yeah.
But I think they're like the second lowest over under though at only 47.5. So I guess they're expecting a lot of defense in this game. 90-53 in the Who You Got favors Arizona by SFL Nation. So almost twice as many votes for Arizona than Vancouver. Moving into the first of the 2 nightcap games on Saturday night. Charleston, who we've been talking about all season long, week to week, getting through that brutal schedule. Now you're starting to see them move up. They made the biggest jump in the playoff picture this past week against Portland, who has only won 1 game this season, Charles. But do you think they're due, especially playing at home?
What is up, party people? Put your hands in the air and wave them like you do not care.
I don't care.
This game, we're not looking at 2 offensive juggernauts. Charleston has all the pressure on them. They're going up against the Portland team that is last in points per game, near the bottom in passing yards, last in rushing yards per game, last in passing touchdowns, last in rushing touchdowns, lowest third down percentage. Both of these quarterbacks recently, in one case, TD Drew, he didn't throw a touchdown pass last week. Matt South for Portland has not thrown a touchdown in the last 3 games.
Wow.
He's only thrown 4 for the entire season. And there are quarterbacks out there that do that in half a game. Truzman has won for Portland. Running back Truzman has 1 rushing touchdown this season. And the running back for Charleston, Swearingen, hasn't rushed for over 100 yards in the last 3 games. So,
he started off so well, too.
Yeah, he did. So, and the thing about Charleston is, a bunch of people were picking them not only to be in the playoffs, but to go deep in the playoffs. So, again, all the pressure's on Charleston. They've got a great group of talent, and they're going into Portland. And I think when there's going to be a game the remaining games in the season, I think that Portland's going to click and they're going to surprise people. I think Charleston's hoping it's not this game. But in order to do that Portland team is going to have to do something for their quarterback. He is getting murdered in the game. He's sacked 37 times. That's the worst in the league. Wow. They need to throw a fullback back there, an extra tight end, build a wall around him. I don't know what it is, but he needs to be protected in order to get that ball off. They're not putting him in a position where he can, get it to his wide receivers. So the odds are clearly in Charleston's favor. I'm expecting it to be early in the game, maybe first quarter, second quarter close, but then I think Charleston is just going to be methodical and they're going to just put points on the board, field goal here, touchdown here. And I'm thinking this might be a 17-point ball game.
Yeah, I think, Portland's been struggling with the run all season with the transition with Truzman from fullback to halfback, and we've talked about that about multiple players this season already, kind of beat it into the ground already, but the numbers show that it's true. Speaking of numbers, second biggest spread, or tied for the second biggest spread of the weekend, 10.5 point favorites for Charleston. Here's the thing though, and you were talking about, Charles, how these are not 2 offensive juggernauts. Lowest over under for the entire weekend, and it's under 40 points. It's 38.5 points.
Yeah.
That's really low. SFL Nation, though, another big swing here. 114-26 in favor of Charleston for the Who You Got. So not a lot of faith in Portland upsetting Charleston at home this weekend. The last game on Sunday, London at St. Louis. This is going to be an interesting game. We thought London was going to win last week at home. They didn't. St. Louis went to London earlier in the season. London had that game won. St. Louis gets an interception, near the very end of the game, Eddie, to win that game. So my gut tells me that even though St. Louis is 4-5 in the 13th slot and London's only 2-7, that this will be a much closer game than people think.
I agree with you for the first time today, Dave, with that assessment. That said, going into this season, Liam started off, their owner, as the coach on both sides of the ball. And after week 4, they were 0-4, and he terminated himself and brought in a new staff to coach offense and defense. Since then, London is 2-3. So they're already making progress, and you can see it on both sides of the ball, and particularly defensively. Now, they're averaging 23 points a game, which is 12th in the SFL. However, they are moving the ball. They're throwing the ball for 281 yards a game, which is 9th in the SFL. What hurts them is their third down offense, in which right now they're 20th at converting 46%. Their defense, for lack of a better term, has been less than desirable. They're giving up 34 points a game, which is last. And they're also 19th and 18th pass run, respectively, giving up 303 passing yards a game and over 100 rushing yards a game, which falls right into the hands of St. Louis. For those of you who are not aware, Drew really is the head coach over there, and he coached, I believe, the defense last season. He's coaching up a young staff over there this season. Now, despite the fact that they have an all-rookie core on the opposite side of the ball, including quarterback, this defense right now is only giving up 22 points a game, which is 7th in the entire SFL. They're 6th in pass defense, giving up 250 yards a game through the air, and they're 8th in rush defense, giving up just under 100. This defense, despite all the turnover on offense, they are still rolling. I mean, Drew really, for those of you who don't know, check out the Arizona YouTube channel. Click and subscribe while you're at it. I made a video about that guy. He knows what he's doing over there. He plays very aggressively on defense. And despite losing some of the better defensive talent on the defensive line last season, he still elects to play aggressively. And I admire that about him. Drew, really, y'all go check that brother out. He knows what he's doing over there. If you want to learn some things about defense, just tune into some St. Louis games, because they got it going on over there defensively. So, like I said, yeah, that plays right into their hands with their defense, the way they like to play. And I see St. Louis keeping this a low-scoring game, as I said, because their offense tends to struggle sometimes. But I see St. Louis taking this one at home. And if this happens to play out this way, they will have 5 wins with 3 games left. And they had 6 wins last season. So despite losing Johnny Pickler and the rest of that offense, they are still just 2 wins away from tying last season's record, which, in my opinion, is very impressive.
Yeah, well, and we all saw in free agency, they decided to stack up on defense. And so the defense has been really what's kept them in games and even won them some games. And a little credit to Nicholas Warner, also the defensive coordinator over there for St. Louis. Jack's data has St. Louis favored by 6.5 with an over-under of 53.5. And another big spread, 103-34 in favor of St. Louis for this game in the Who You Got by SFL Nation. Moving into the Monday night games. This is it for me this weekend. This game, Sioux Falls at Baltimore. This is just, I don't know if you can get any closer than this. I mean, this is kind of like last week with Jacksonville and Louisiana. I see another amazing game this Monday, like we saw last Monday, Frank. Do you see it the same way?
Dave, you might be watching an SFL Season 15 championship preview. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because Sioux Falls is ranked 4th or seeded 4th right now. Baltimore seeded 3rd. One of them is going to probably have to go through Denver. Baltimore's already beaten Denver. I like this game being in Baltimore. You've got Baltimore, the 3rd-rated defense. Sioux Falls has the 2nd-rated rushing attack. Sioux Falls has the 4th-rated defense. Baltimore has the 3rd-rated offense. Something has got to give. I would agree with you saying that these teams are mirror images of each other, but the passing game for Sioux Falls is ranked 22nd overall.
Mm.
Baltimore's passing offense is 7th overall. Jack Wigmore, he is no Mike Dazzo, but or is he Dazzo? Because in 3 games, he's only thrown for 755 yards. That's an 81.25 percentage rating. He's got a QBR of 101.6. You don't see that from Julian Tyree. Tyree is, he's at 1,500 yards. His percentage is 75.25%, 89 QBR. But the thing that Julian Tyree can do is he can run 20 rushes for 66 yards, averaging 3.3 yards a carry. The rushing attack for both teams. T. Roy Gaines is 6th ranked in rushing. He's sitting there with 984 yards, 12 touchdowns, but he also catches 66 receptions, 304 yards, and has 6 touchdowns there as well. Colin Hart, he is a beast. 3rd overall in rushing at 1,087 yards, 10 touchdowns. He too catches some balls out of the backfield, averaging 5.3 yards a reception, only 1 touchdown though. Nowhere near what T. Roy Gaines catches out of the backfield, but he is very productive. As far as receiving goes, Ivory Irvin is the 2nd rated wide receiver, only behind Gabriel Manning. He's got 836 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. Then you've got Lloyd Graham, the tight end, and Chima, the other wide receiver. They have combined for 7 touchdowns and just over 1,000 yards together. Gunner Lewis for Sioux Falls is the wide receiver that Tyree likes to go to. 502 yards receiving, 8 touchdowns. Tucker Lewis for Baltimore is just behind Duffy as far as sacks goes. He has 10 total sacks, and so he will be manning the defense there. Baltimore has the 8th ranked ground game. So something here is going to happen, Dave. It's going to be a blast to watch. I wish this was the crowd play game of the week because everybody's going to be tuned in for this one. You've got the 4th rated defense against the 3rd rated defense. I mean, is this going to be low scoring? Probably so, but it's going to be very exciting. I'm giving the edge to Baltimore because, one, they're at home and they've been shown to be the most balanced.
Well, here's the thing, right? So first off, talking about, I mentioned earlier that this rivalry needs a name. AJ said bird on bird action. There was a battle of the birds. There's a few different ones in there. But I'm telling you, I think after this game on Monday, there will be a name for this. I have a feeling this will be a rivalry going forward. Jack's data has Baltimore favored by 6.5, like you mentioned, Frank. But here's the thing. They think this is going to be an offensive game. This is the highest over-under for the entire weekend at 64.5. But the last time I checked, Baltimore was leading Sioux Falls in the Who You Got 100 to only 42. So it seems like SFL Nation is on board with you, Frank, when it comes to Baltimore winning this game. All right, moving into the very last game of the weekend. Jacksonville gets a back-to-back Monday night 9 p.m. spot. Crowd play game of the week. Jacksonville, tough loss against Louisiana last week at Florida. This is a rivalry game, the Battle of I-95. So a lot on the line here in this game, Greg. How do you see this going?
Yeah, you have number 5 Jacksonville, number 8 Florida. They're right there neck and neck, for Florida, see who's going to win this. Florida's coming into this with a 2-game winning streak. Even though Jacksonville did lose, they had a 4-game winning streak before they met that buzzsaw called Louisiana last week. And they still put up points, though, even on Louisiana. I think Jacksonville needs to get back. I saw some of the stats. They need to get back to running more with Willis, like they did against us in Chicago when they beat us handily. So they can definitely score points away. Jacksonville's scoring about 24 points on average away. Their defense is having a hard time. The teams that they have faced away. They're 2-2 away. They're giving up 31 points. Florida, they're 3-1 at home. They're only scoring about an average of 20 points at home. They're only giving up 14 points, so it looks like their defense is a little stingy at home. Jacksonville beat Florida though in week 2, 27-7. It was in Jacksonville, but they already beat them already this year. Cochran for Florida had a great week last week against the Fleet, but it's the Fleet.
Right.
It's not Jacksonville. And I'm just stating it like it is. I think Jacksonville is going to walk away from this 30-20. And I'm going to be rooting for my man Mike All and the Duval boys, Saxonville, to take care of this I-95 issue this weekend.
Yeah, I think that if I understand the SFL history of this rivalry enough, that it really doesn't matter if one team's doing well and the other team's not doing well, that these games are always pretty close, pretty tight, pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it'll be the perfect cap to just an incredible weekend of games this weekend. Here's the thing. Jack's data has this as a pick'em. So just like last week, the Jacksonville-Louisiana game was a pick'em at first. This game is a pick'em as well, with an over-under of 57.5. And I'm actually going to give you updated numbers on this since it's the last game. Updated numbers looking at it, 87-61 in Jacksonville's favor in the Who You Got by SFL Nation as of tonight. So I have a feeling that'll probably even get a little closer. I think a lot of people also think Jacksonville coming off that loss last week, maybe they got a little something to prove, so they might bring it a little more this week as well. All right, that recap or that previews week 10. Just like I said at the beginning, an amazing slate of games. Moving on to Gunny. Are you ready, Gunny?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so moving on to Gunny's Pearls of Wisdom that we have every show. Gunny, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Good evening, SFL. We have 9 teams at the records of 4 and 5, which is in places 9 through 17. 6 of these 9 teams are going head-to-head this weekend. Las Vegas at Atlanta, Vancouver at Arizona, and Carolina at Houston. So these have some high stakes and with playoff implications. The top games of this week, Gunny has the number 5 Jacksonville Kings at the number 8 Florida Storm. And the game of the week, hands down, is number 4 Sioux Falls at number 3 Baltimore Vultures. I do hope everyone has a great in the SFL. Have a great weekend, and that is all.
All right, Gunny. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Appreciate you. This is the portion of the show where we announce who your Diva of the Week is based on the voting in the Access Live server for Diva of the Week. We had 6 nominees this week, and we have our winner in the studio. But first, let's announce him on the screen. If you're looking at your screen and you can hear it, here's your winner. Louisiana, Jacksonville.
Wrong game, Jacksonville.
Clear's going to see nothing but a Pride Alliance bearing down on them. Jacksonville all day long.
Give me Mike Twinsquirrel on a game winner at the end for Louisiana.
All right, John, you got the last word on this game.
I mean, you guys talked about how it's the game of the year right now, and the way this team is built, we're just bred for the limelight. The game may very well come down to me. I got ballers on my team. I got freaks on my team. I love the brothers on my team, and they're very good at what they do. The fact is, when I do have to throw, most of you guys who are giving me a hard time, the quarterbacks on your team throw more to the other team than they do to their own team. So,
and there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Diva of the Week for Week 9, none other than Johnny Pickler. Johnny's in the house. Johnny, what's up?
Hey, how you doing, gentlemen? Glad to be here.
Yep, good to have you. Congrats on this. Where does this rank on all the accolades you've had so far in the SFL?
Oh man, Diva of the Week. It has to be a top 5. It has to be a top 5. And I just want to give a quick couple shout outs because this is a special moment. I want to give a shout out to God, for first and foremost, as always. Got to give a shout out to my friends, my family, all my supporters in the league. Give a shout out to my haters too, because they're responsible for creating the monster that they see out there every Sunday. Give a shout out to my coaches and my teammates, and most of all, who I don't feel get enough love, and I just want to do it while we have listeners on a platform like yours, Dave. I want to give love to my bodyguards, Rudy Ray Dunn and Leonard Butler Sr. They're the real MVPs of this offensive powerhouse that we have here in Louisiana. Last year, I don't know if you know, while I did put up some great numbers last year that led me to Rookie of the Year, led me to an All-Star appearance, I was sacked more than any other quarterback last season over there in St. Louis. This year, I think I'm one of the least 3 quarterbacks sacked. I only have 12 sacks on my name. They keep my jersey clean. They make my job easy, as well as, leading the way for the best running back in the league. So I want to give props to those boys first and foremost.
Awesome. Always good to hear quarterbacks giving love to their offensive line. I did want to tell you, too, I have to confirm this with Eagle, but this might actually be the largest margin of victory we've had all season, with you receiving about 39% of the vote and second place only receiving 18%. Unfortunately for Warren Murray, who was picked by Cam, he finished last. So I don't know if that's a Cam curse, but I guess maybe we'll have to have Cam on some more to pick some Divas of the Week. And if they continue to finish last, then I'm going to go out and say you probably don't want Cam to pick you. But that aside, Johnny, congratulations. I'm hoping you're going to stick around to do pick'ems with us, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate it. I'm on the road right now to New York, but I got nothing but driving time ahead of me.
Awesome. Great to hear. Thanks again. Congrats. And let's get the pick'em started. First game out the gate, Las Vegas at Atlanta. Frank and everybody, we're running a little behind, so let's not do any analysis. We did all the analysis. Let's just tell me who you think is going to win. So, Frank, Las Vegas at Atlanta.
I'm sticking with my boys, Vegas.
There you go. Greg?
Atlanta.
Eddie?
I'm going to go Atlanta at home.
Atlanta. Charles?
Swarm.
What do you say?
Swarm.
Swarm, okay. Johnny?
Vegas.
And Gunny?
Hometown Atlanta.
Atlanta. Oh, that's right. You always pick Atlanta, huh? They're your boys. Mexico City at Tulsa. Frank?
Mexico City.
Mexico City. Greg?
Mexico City.
Mexico City. Eddie?
Tulsa's offense has stuttered as of late. City.
Mexico City, okay. Charles?
Mexico City.
Johnny?
Mexico City.
Gunny?
Mexico City.
Mexico City. Hey, Winkler, you said Johnny's tied for 4th lead sack, but I don't think you can count the first 2, right? Because I believe they are the 2 quarterbacks that were with Baltimore, so they only played half the games or something. We should double check that. Let's see. Moving on to game 3, Fort Worth at Louisiana. Frank?
Hey, proving that they can run both the ball and throw it, I'm going with Louisiana.
Okay, Greg?
The buzzsaw known as Louisiana Revolution.
Eddie?
I looked at Louisiana as a one-trick pony, throwing the ball about 3 times a game. But after this week, when they aired it out, man, they are looking like
we lost
title contender right now.
Eddie, you're kind of going in and out. So what was the last one? Who'd you pick?
Louisiana.
Louisiana, okay. Charles?
Louisiana.
Johnny, you going to go with your Louisiana team, you think?
No, we're never going to lose down in the swamp.
There you go. Gunny?
The Revolution.
Okay. Clean sweep there for Louisiana. All right, Frank, Denver at Chicago.
Denver.
Greg?
Chicago.
Hold
on. Yeah, the chicken coop says Chicago.
They say Chicago. Okay, all right. Yeah. Eddie, who you got? Denver or Chicago?
You need to check what's going on. Take his temperature because something is definitely up with him.
Eddie, we're having a hard time hearing you.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing.
I'm going with the. I'm not going with Chicago. I'm sorry.
Denver. You want Denver? Okay. Charles.
Yes, sir.
Denver.
Denver. All right, Johnny.
Oh man, I feel this is a win-win for me because I either get to chuckle at Chicago losing 5 in a row, I get to watch Denver fade back in the standings. But because I like Greg, I'll go Chicago.
Okay. Gunny?
Jeremy Vega, Denver.
Jeremy Vega, Denver. Okay. All right. Let's see. Frank, moving into Sunday. Carolina at Houston.
Houston at home.
Houston at home. Greg?
Houston.
Houston. Eddie?
I'm going with Houston.
Charles?
Houston.
Johnny?
Houston.
And Gunny?
I'll go with this new coach and see what happens. Carolina.
This new coach. Awesome. Kept Houston from having a clean sweep there. Let's see. Lone Star at Queen City. Frank?
Staying true with Lone Star.
There you go. Attaboy. Greg?
QCC.
You're fired. Eddie?
Thank you.
You think the chicken coop was bad? Wait till the next time you're on the show, buddy. All right, Eddie.
Okay.
Lone Star at Queen City.
I gotta go with Lone Star.
Good choice. Charles, do I need to ask?
Why does that hurt, Eddie? I can't. I'm gonna go Lone Star.
Because I love you, Charles, and so that's why I picked you.
Lone Star.
Yeah, you better be.
That loss earlier in the year to that Arizona had against you guys, I think it still hurts Eddie, and that's the problem.
It does, very much so.
Sorry, bro. Don't want to tell you.
You're a good man. You're a good man, though, Eddie. You're
Eddie,
a good man.
yeah, sorry, not sorry. Johnny.
It's never worked out when I picked against you guys, and you guys have continued to impress. I'll go Lone Star.
That's probably a smart bet. Gunny.
The good guys, Lone Star.
There you go. Vancouver and Arizona, Frank.
I'm always giving Eddie some love. I hope he returns the favor one day, and I'm going to do it again by picking Vancouver.
Dang!
That's giving him love. All right.
When I pick for him, though, he loses, so I pick against him.
Oh, there you go. He's trying to hook you up, Eddie. There you go. All right, Greg. Vancouver and Arizona.
Yeah, I consulted Kanye Rockefeller with this pick. We pick Arizona.
We pick Arizona. Eddie.
Love you, Eddie.
Eddie, you better pick your team.
Arizona in a blowout.
Whoa, blowout. I'm writing that down right there. All right, Charles.
Arizona with the home field advantage.
There you go with the HFC. Johnny.
I'll go Arizona.
And Gunny.
Fellow Georgia native quarterback Ashley Jackson, Arizona.
All right, there you go. All right, Charleston at Portland. Frank.
I'm going with the sneaky team of Charleston.
Charleston. Greg.
Charleston.
Charleston. Eddie.
I'm going Charleston as well.
Okay, Charles.
The Orcas.
Johnny.
Charleston.
And Gunny.
Charleston.
Okay. Last game on Sunday, London at St. Louis. Frank.
St. Louis.
Greg.
St. Louis.
Eddie.
In a low-scoring game, I got St. Louis.
Yeah, what is the over-under in that? 53.5, so that's about middle of the road. Charles.
I'm going with London.
London. Oh, Liam, can you put Charles back on the phone? Johnny.
He's tied up.
We don't know how to take that exactly. Johnny.
Gladiators all day.
All right. Gunny.
St. Louis.
St. Louis. All right. So, last two games, starting with Sioux Falls at Baltimore on Monday night. Frank.
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Greg.
Battle of the Chicken Coop Bowl and the second best winged team in the SFL because, of course, the Night Wings are the best. Baltimore.
Baltimore. Good rationale. Eddie.
This is almost a pick'em game to me. Vancouver played as well as a game defensively as they could versus Sioux Falls and still lost. I'm going to go with Baltimore because they're playing at home, but this can go either way.
Yeah, I agree with you. Charles.
How come Eddie gets to do like a novel for everyone?
Because he's Eddie Gage, bro. I don't tell you.
That's right. Holla at him.
Baltimore.
Hall of Famers, bro. Hall of Famers. Johnny.
I'll go Baltimore.
Okay. And Gunny, you going to make it a clean sweep? Or are you sticking with
No, I'm going to go for Sioux Falls.
Okay. That's your team. That is your team. I know. All right, last game of the weekend, the crowd play game.
Dave.
Yeah.
Dave, change my pick to Sioux Falls. I'm sick of seeing Baltimore ahead of us. I don't know how they're ahead of us in these rankings. When we beat them by 10. So
That's right.
change my
Those
pick to
power
Sioux Falls.
rankings came out today. Yeah, Baltimore was 1, you were 2, and I think Denver was 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, Baltimore is still 1?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's probably something we should talk about on After Dark here in a couple minutes, actually.
Yeah.
All right, Frank, let's wrap up the weekend with the crowd play game of the week, Jacksonville at Florida.
Jacksonville.
Greg.
Duval, Saxonville.
Eddie.
Florida is hot, but they have not beat a team with a 500 record or better this season. I'm going to go Jacksonville on the road.
Jacksonville on the road. All right. Charles, you can speak a novel now if you'd like.
No, I'm all right. Jacksonville.
All right. Johnny.
As long as Jacksonville's recovered from last week, they should be able to handle Florida.
Wow.
All right, and Gunny.
Jacksonville
for a clean sweep there. So we only had a couple clean sweeps. We got Jacksonville. We got Charleston. That's it. Oh, and Mexico City. Oh, and Louisiana. So 4 of them. That's actually more than we normally have. We
Jacksonville's a clean sweep?
Yeah. Everybody took them.
That's kind of surprising. Okay.
It is. Well, I think because... Well, I don't know why. Because, Florida's at home.
Their games are always tight.
They're always...
Well,
they are.
This season it wasn't. Jacksonville blew them out early this season. This will be their second time playing.
Oh, is it? Oh, well, maybe it's a revenge game, plus they're playing at home. Maybe it'll be closer that time. Let me see what Winkler said about Johnny's being 4th least sacked. Maybe I was thinking interceptions. Hold on. Caswell, Julian, Tyree, Jack Wig. Yeah, so Wigmore you can't count. And Kentez and Pickler. So, so 4th or 3rd, I guess, technically, if you take Wigmore out. All right, let's move into the After Dark portion. And you know what? Let's talk about. I'm gonna get to this home field, this HFC as Doyle calls it, in a minute. But before we get to that, let's talk about this article. Johnny, did you read the whole article that came out today? The power rankings?
No, I mean it lost credibility when I saw just we weren't on top. So I'm like, this isn't
I don't even know why I didn't think that was going to be your answer or not.
Oh my God!
Did anybody else in the panel? I'm just going to throw it out for you guys. Anybody else have any issues with the power rankings that came out today?
I'll say it first, since Johnny is too shy to say it. I'm shocked right now that Baltimore is 1. But I will say this: Baltimore has had a tougher schedule. But the fact that they play head to head,
right,
and Louisiana beat them, kind of makes it hard not to put them 1.
And they just beat Jacksonville the other night.
Correct.
Yeah, I agree with that. Anybody else? Frank, what about you?
I'm fine with it. I just know Vegas is going to probably have to win out to get up in there.
Yeah. Do you have any issues with Baltimore being ahead of Louisiana?
Well, I can't. I tried looking at the breakdown on how they separate everything, and I just said the heck with it. I'll trust it and let them stay number 1.
What about you, Charles?
No, I don't think they should be number 1. It should be Louisiana and Denver a close second.
Hey, let's note these are Jacksonville guys doing this. So after last week, I know they couldn't put them ahead of us, but they had to put someone.
Well, they dropped themselves 3 spots down to number 5. Greg, where do you stand on this?
Louisiana should be number 1. Baltimore. Yeah, even the chickens here are saying that. Yeah, the Vultures should not be number 1. Should be Louisiana.
Should be Louisiana.
And Denver.
And Denver, yeah. And I think, I mean to Jack's Data's credit, I believe they did say, I think after Denver, that there was some pretty good separation after the top 3. I believe they said that in the article. Gunny, what about you?
After this week, hold on. And after this week, hopefully, with that much love from Pickler, Louisiana will be above and beyond the top-notch team in the SFL. Denver, we're clipping them wings this weekend.
Oh, there you go, baby. There you go. Gunny, what do you think about these power rankings that came out today?
I did not see the power rankings personally, but I do think since Louisiana beat Baltimore head-to-head, it should be Louisiana on top.
Okay. We'll see. I'm working on getting Jack's data back on the show right after Week 12, the week between Week 12 and the week of the wild card playoffs, so we can discuss a lot of these things with them, the numbers, the power rankings, how they did this season, the spreads, everything, the whole 9 yards. So, all right. So that being said, let me pull this up real quick. So a few weeks ago, I think it was Doyle and a couple other people were bringing up this home field advantage, what they're calling HFC, home field cheese situation in the SFL. And so Winkler and I did a little research today. He did most of it. And if you're looking at your screens, you can see the home and away records. There's been 99 games in the SFL this season. The home team has won 68 of those, and the away team's only won 31. That at first looks very, I don't know, one-sided, if you will.
Cheesy.
We did a little research, though, on the NFL stuff, and the NFL stuff is not that far off up until, now, granted, there's a lot more years to look at, and we're only looking at one season here in the SFL, but up until 2019, there was a pretty big home field advantage in the NFL as well that started to veer off the last season or two. So I'm going to go to the panel. Do you think this game, the bottom line is it was made in 2008, so maybe we're talking about how it was made in 2008, or does that matter since we've got all these players with all these different values, so that part doesn't go, that just goes out. What do you think is the biggest thing when it comes to home field advantage, or the biggest reason? I'm going to start with Eddie Gage since he's been around the longest.
Oh my God. Honestly, this has been a topic in the owner's channel, as Charles can attest to, for quite some time now, the past couple of seasons. And there has been, just to give you guys a bit of heads up, and if I get in trouble for this, then I probably shouldn't, but I won't give too much away. But
Get on, Cam.
yeah, you're right.
So it doesn't matter at this point.
I'm not going to do it. I'm going to step away from that one.
Again.
No.
Charles whispering in your ear?
No. But you know what? I changed my mind. I won't do it because I don't know if I should. but
we'll see if we can get Charles to say it.
I will say it's been a hot topic as of late, as well as the past couple seasons, about home field advantage and ways to try and lessen that percentage. Now, but the thing is, I don't know. No one really knows a way to do that. I mean, how do you rectify that situation? I mean,
Right.
First of all, the home team should have an advantage, but what the league has done is looked at the percentage of home team win games versus the NFL, and ours is significantly higher for the home team. I mean, significantly. I forget the numbers, but it was quite a bit
Well,
different.
for the last couple of seasons, last season for 2019, the NFL, the home field advantage almost disappeared completely.
Yeah, so I mean, how do we rectify that? I have no idea. I don't know. I mean, it's been a topic. It's still a topic. It seems like every other week it's discussed in our locker room. In our channel by at least one individual, and it starts up a whole pot, and next thing you know, the fire gets going. So, if you find out, you let me know, because everyone seems to try to want some sort of solution, but no one seems to know how to do it.
Well, let me ask this, and then I'm going to go to Charles next. Maybe are we unfairly comparing this to the NFL, or maybe should we be comparing it to more like college, where college football home field advantage is humongous? What do you think, Charles?
Oh, yeah, Cam. No, Eddie didn't say anything.
Okay.
Yeah, but Carolina, he did. Carolina. Yep.
Sorry, what was the question?
Sorry to interrupt your call with Cam.
What's the end game here? I mean, there is a home field advantage, right? I mean, there should be a home field advantage.
Well, but should it be this big? Is I guess what we're asking.
I mean, it really. If you look at the teams at the top, like Louisiana and Denver,
right,
and Baltimore, they're the three best teams in the league. I mean, you can argue who's 1, who's 2, and 3, but they've got a winning record on the road. You win on the road, the odds are you're going to be the better team. I mean, that's the way it should be. I think there's a home field advantage. I don't know what the impact is. If you open up the hood and start making adjustments to change things, it could go completely the other way. To Eddie's point, there's been discussions about it in prior seasons. I just don't know how to do it. I mean, and I don't know what's an acceptable margin for losses on the road.
Bingo.
Well, right, and I'm sure there's other factors involved too, right? I mean, obviously schedule comes into play.
Aggregate, you're showing an aggregate, and you mentioned it earlier, but it's a little deceiving because there's more than just looking at the away and home record. You got to look at, like, if Denver plays
at Portland or something, right?
And Portland beats them by 50 points at home, that might raise some eyebrows.
Okay, Johnny, I'm going to go to you. You've got some experience with the 2K stuff and what have you. Are we looking at this wrong? Is it even a topic? Do we need to dive into it deeper? Is it unfair to compare it to the NFL? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's okay to open it up and compare it to all North American sports. I mean, if we're having fun, designing the Hive and designing our home stadiums, and Eddie with his new flashy stadium and down there in Arizona, ours in Louisiana, coming down to the swamp. Why are we? I mean, we might as well just play on the same stadium if we're going to try and mess with the sliders at all or give additional coaching points to an away team. Home field advantage is a real thing in every sport. In college basketball, it's almost at like a near 90 percentile for home team wins. College football, right behind it. Pro football, you guys have the stats in front of you. Home field advantages is a real thing. I do think it's a cop out and it's an excuse and almost like a crybaby type of thing for teams that just can't win or like lose road games. I don't really understand it. I mean, looking at just my experience in our team this year, not even to just tout that we have a winning record both at home and away. We did lose one game and it happened to be on the road. But besides that, teams have given us actually a run for our money more on home games. I mean, like week 1, we go out and we handle St. Louis by 20 points, which may be a playoff team. Next week, we go against London. That's probably not going to make the playoffs. And London scares us in our own home.
Right.
We almost lose to Tulsa in our own home. But then again, we handled Jacksonville by 2 scores in a nice second half effort last week. We just don't even think about it. I mean, this is really, the parity is great. There's even more parity in this league, I would argue, than in the NFL. It's truly like an any given Sunday type of league.
Right.
And but if there is a little home field advantage, some years it may be at 55%, some years it may be at 80%. It may be, you may want to scream about it, but what are you going to do? Start handing coaches points and all of a sudden the away team has the advantage? Because I mean, our coaches know what to do with those coaching points. Then we just love to be the away team every week, and that just sounds goofy. So right. I'm fine with where it's at.
So before I get Winkler, the man behind the show, the producer, wants to say something. But before I let him on, a couple comments I want to read from the chat real quick. Coach Craven said there shouldn't be a home field advantage in a video game unless there's some underlying game mechanic that creates one. The crowd can't be a factor. Travel can't be a factor. So the numbers indicate there's something there maybe. I
totally disagree with that.
I actually was going to say I think there should be a crowd factor. Think about it. When you play NCAA, you've got the controller vibrating, right? When the crowd gets crazy and all that stuff. So I don't have a problem with the little home field advantage for that because I think it adds some reality to it.
Yeah, I totally disagree with that.
I think the topic that was brought up a few weeks ago is it too much reality? And I'm going to turn the floor over to Winkler for a second. Let him give his 2 cents.
All right, here's my 2 cents. You said college has a bigger home field advantage than professional sports.
College football
would be wrong.
College football has to have a better home field advantage.
Out of 88 teams and 11,234 games,
hold on, I'm writing this
the home team wins 56% of the time in college.
Right.
So that's all your D1 schools. That's 56%. In the NFL, it's 58%.
So, but except last year, 2019,
in the MLB, it's 54%.
Hold on.
And in the NBA, it's 60%.
MLB.
So the tighter the data leads me to believe this: the tighter your stadium, the closer the fans are to the field, the more of a home field advantage you have.
You check college basketball? I bet you that's probably the highest.
I bet you it probably is too.
Right?
I can do that in
especially
2 seconds.
if NBA's at 60%. I'm actually shocked. You said college football was 56 and NFL was 58. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Except I think last year that wasn't true, but you're
this is historical data. So this is not just one season.
One season. Gotcha. Okay.
You guys talked about games. Video games, home field advantage shouldn't be in video games. I can tell you from experience, programmers do program in home field advantage. It's in every sports game you play.
Okay. Let me know when you get the college basketball numbers real quick. I want to hear what Frank has to say in the meantime. Frank, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here. You had kind of mentioned it earlier with the shaking of the controller. Madden came out with a game where the controller would shake and the screen would get distorted,
right,
and all that stuff when you were
and the
playing
receiver
on the
routes
road.
and all that. Yeah,
yeah, it'd all get all squiggly lines and all that stuff. And I think 2K, being ahead of its time, had built that mechanic into the game. And if we try to adjust attributes and player levels and all that stuff, it ends up distorting the experience. It could, but you could eventually get to it. But how many seasons is it going to take to fine tune it to get there? And you know what's going to happen with the people involved that are not having the experience they thought they were going to have.
Gotcha. Greg, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, I don't know how many times I'm going to agree with Johnny today, which is crazy. But no, I have no issues with it. Look, it's just like Frank and Johnny said, it's part of the game. And if that wasn't part of the game, like Johnny said, then we might as well not even care about what stadium we're going to be playing in. Let's just all play in the same stadium. So I agree with Frank and Johnny. It's just, it's part of the game. Just like if it is, this is a simulation. So we're trying to simulate real life. In real life, you possibly are going to go, you're going to travel, you're going to possibly be fatigued. You're not going to be up for the game. You're going to be partying the night before, possibly. You're going to go over your curfew. You're not going to play as good as you would at home with family and so forth. So this simulation, like Frank said, the programmers probably built that mechanic in, and it's just part of the game. And it is what it is. I mean, it's what, if you don't like it, then, don't come to the SFL.
Okay, I'm going to give Gunny last word on this, except that Jack Wall just jumped in. I'm wondering if Jack wants to touch on this topic. Gunny, do you have anything to say about this home field advantage situation? Oh, was Gunny even with us?
Oh, wait, hold on. I got to do.
I showed up.
Gunny, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you got anything to add to this?
I compare it to a little bit like baseball. In baseball, most teams want to finish like a 500 on the road, and you want to do at least 2 out of 3 on a road series. So I can see it happening like that.
Okay. Wink, did you get that? Yeah, Johnny, go ahead.
Can I just ask you? Yeah, and like, if you're trying to fix this, like, when would people be happy? You're never going to be happy.
Right.
I mean, do you have to, like? There's just that's the whole thing you got to look at. You're going to keep sliding things until people are angry on the other side. Can we just let it go and say, hey, teams have won championships with this model. It's been going like this for a long time. Sorry if you've continued to be on the losing end. Have you never been part of a winning season here? Have you never had a winning record on the road? Because there's plenty of SFL teams that's proven it. What are we trying to do? Get every team to be 6-6? Like the commish said when he answered this question, he's like, if every home team won and every away team lost, everybody would be 6-6 at the end of the season. We all have the same amount of home and away games, and there's a lot of teams that have proven they know how to win games on the road.
There you go. Let me see. Oh, Jack, you were having some issues. Let me unmute you here and see if you're better. Jack, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm with you guys.
Okay.
I figured you're talking home field advantage. I would chime in with some actual math instead of just getting angry and screaming like some of you over there, Johnny.
I don't know that he's getting angry, but I think he's just being
we're
mad.
all good over here. It's a really good week. I've been sleeping like a baby. I don't know how Jackson did.
I bet you have.
So as you can tell by that last game, obviously home field advantage doesn't exist, or else Jacksonville would have beat Louisiana, plain and simple. No, but to be real for a second, over the course of the last 4 or 5 seasons in the progression era, quote unquote, it's been hovering around between 62 and 68% home field advantage. You guys know the first 9 weeks of last week was week 9. So the first 8 weeks of the season, it was way north above, like I think up north of 80%. The last 2 weeks sort of come back down to earth, back into that 68%, 67% range. So things are normaling out, as you guys mentioned before. If you don't want a simulation of the NFL, then yeah, the home field advantage shouldn't exist. But I think 65, 66%. That doesn't account for skill level of the teams. Most of the time, the better team is going to win at home, or regardless of the site. And yeah, don't let home field get down on you too much. It's not as big of a factor as you might think.
Okay, good to hear. Glad. Winkler, real quick, did you get that college basketball data?
Yeah, you took so long. I threw in the NHL too.
Hey, talk to these guys. They won't stop talking. They won't stop yapping. Go ahead.
So let's redo the pros. We'll go to the pros first.
Okay.
So the NFL, 58%.
58.
Baseball, 54. NBA, 60. NHL, 55. Now we move on to college. College football, 56. College basketball is 62.
62. So it's not nearly as high as we thought.
College basketball is your highest.
But not as high as we would thought.
But not as high as you would think. However, I do think the SFL it's in its right spot with home field advantage. It gives the good teams that are home a slight edge, but as you saw last week, and they pointed out, Jacksonville didn't win that game. It's still anybody's game. Does it give them like a slight advantage, a little bit of momentum? I do think so, but it's not everything. It doesn't guarantee you a victory.
Right. And I think to Johnny's point, which was his point to Cam's point, the better parity in this league, and he's right. I mean, any given Saturday, Sunday, Monday in this league, I mean, look what what happened to Sioux Falls against Fort Worth. Look what almost happened in Louisiana against London. Look what Portland almost did to Denver. So there is a lot of parity. And Cam, on this show, one of my very first shows that he was on, said this will by far be the most competitive season that the SFL has ever had. And I don't know that the records always show that, because you got teams that are losing games only by a few points and their records are worse, but they're in every single game, right? So I agree. This is probably not as big an issue as it was brought up before, but I think it was something worth talking about to at least get it out there and get a bunch of different points of view. Before we take off, I do want to move over to the playoffs real quick. I gave the panel on Tuesday a chance to chime in, and if you're looking at your screens, I've got the top 5 up first. Louisiana at 1, Denver at 2, Baltimore at 3, Sioux Falls at 4, and Jacksonville at 5. Moving on to the second half, the bottom part of that. Lone Star at 6, Mexico City at 7, Florida at 8, Charleston at 9, Arizona at 10, and Atlanta at 11. We mentioned that Atlanta would be playing Lone Star if the season ended today. Houston and St. Louis, the first 2 teams on the outside looking in at 12 and 13. Charles, let's start with you. You weren't here the other night. Does anything in the playoff picture as of right now stand out to you, other than probably Lone Star being number 6?
Yeah, honestly, that's shocking for me. But I mean, I just think how close all the teams are. I mean, you look at that second group; they're all, I'd say, pretty evenly matched across the board. And I have no idea who out of those 6 is going to rise to the top.
Yeah. Hold on a second, Eddie. You weren't here the other night either, or no, you weren't. I don't think. You guys are hanging on at 10. Charleston made that jump from 13 to 9. We had a couple teams switch, like Florida, and I think you guys, and then us in Mexico City. What stands out to you in this playoff picture?
The fact that Florida started 0-4 and have won 5 straight and are now back in the playoff mix. You do not want mighty involved and on your schedule should you meet them as a top tier seed because it's going to be a close game. Atlanta was also outside this playoff mix. The defending champs have worked their way back into it. Mexico City slid after that loss to you guys. And by the way, that was a very impressive win. Probably your most impressive win on both sides of the ball all season. So congrats to you guys.
Thank you.
St. Louis, right on the edge of making it in. They're on the outside looking in, but you just never know what's going to happen. Still 3 games left, a lot of games left to play. Arizona, yo, man, we need this win this weekend so bad. I'm working hard, and we'll see how that happens, how that plays out. But yeah, Charleston, I mean, the fact that I think they had a first round bye in the first round of the playoffs last season, and now they're at 4-5, trying to find their way. So but still, it's with 3 games left, you just never know what's going to happen. This thing could totally flip flop again.
Yeah, it's already changing week to week, and it's going to continue to do that for sure.
Yep.
Frank the Franchise Wade had to bug out, but Greg, I'm going to go to you on this.
Looking at this right here, it's interesting. I mean, definitely, I think Lone Star. I think you guys are gonna, with so many games left, just not that many games left, I should say. I think Lone Star. I think you guys are in good shape. Florida, like Eddie said, is dangerous. And at the top, I don't see too much change there. That might change a little bit after we beat Denver this week, and we'll see what the other bird teams do. I know that Florida's doing well, but I think Jacksonville's going to move up a slot. I think there, and I hope that Eddie can run the table, and I like to see Arizona in the playoffs at a higher seed than where they're at right now, and I think Eddie could do that.
Hey.
And I think Louisiana is just going to keep running the table. I think Louisiana is above and beyond the top team in the league right now.
Johnny, I know you're driving, so you can't see, but I'm sure you know the top 5. It's you guys, then Denver, Baltimore, Sioux Falls, and Jacksonville. Do you think that's the top 5 that's going to stay there, or do you see one of those falling out?
Without looking at those teams' schedules, I mean, I got to give all those teams, respect where it's due. I see that those are probably the 5 that are they're gonna sit there. They may interchange a little bit. I think that Denver kind of has a weaker strength. I'd have to check. I think they have a weaker strength of schedule and weaker strength of victory than a couple of those teams right below them. So if Soto and the Wildcats can clip them, I think you might see them fall to maybe even 4th if those other teams right behind them can win. So that may be something to look out for. I don't know how safe they are because they haven't beaten a team with a winning record right now. From a big seed drop right there. But I do think those 5 teams will probably end up there.
Okay, Gunny, how do you feel about Sioux Falls being 4th right now? You think that's where they're going to settle in, or how do you see these top 5 teams?
I still see the top 5 staying the same, even with a Lone Star win and either Sioux Falls or Baltimore lose, they're still going to stay ranked in the top 5. Also, 6 of the top 9 teams are on the road this week, and then again we have 3 matchups of 4 and 5 teams, so playoffs are going to be exciting.
Yeah, Cam mentioned that the other day. We've got so many teams with identical records playing that the separation is going to start to occur. Let me see. I meant to check if anybody had comments or questions about the playoffs as I'm looking. Let me real quick. 2 teams in the playoffs contention. No. Charleston.
Looking at that again, just seeing Atlanta at 11 is just so surprising.
Isn't that crazy?
It's just that's just insanity to me. It really is.
Yeah, and I mentioned on the last show how poetic it would be if it stays like this and I have to play against Atlanta in the wild card after winning the championship with them last season. You know what? Here's something interesting I just noticed. So Mexico City at Tulsa. Tulsa's favored by 3. If Mexico City goes to 5-5, Florida pulls an upset, Charleston there, we could see Mexico City drop 3 or 4 spots. Charles, what do you think? Oh, you're muted. There you go.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. I mean,
you don't think Mexico City's going to lose at Tulsa?
No. I mean, I think one of the things we have to keep in mind is, a bunch of these teams in this group are some of the old school owners that really know how to do player progression, and each week their players get better. And teams like Mighty, he had a master plan, and I'm sure Ramos as well, and their players are going to be the best in the league by the end of the year.
Anybody got a different opinion on that? No?
Well,
Oh,
what was the point? I missed it a little bit.
Charles, you want to just recap real quick for Johnny?
Oh, come on, Johnny. No, I'm kidding.
I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding. I'm just saying that teams like Mexico City and Florida, they have owners that have been doing this for a very long time, and they've got their progressions down to an art. And, part of their master plan is having the best players in the league by the end of the season. So they're going to be a heck of a lot tougher at the end of the season than they are now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that, experience may play out, or may show itself down the stretch.
Hey, Hunter just put, real quick, side note, going back to the previous conversation, which I just find this very interesting. Hunter just wrote in the chat that he sent it to John Bond, that Allen tested to see if the game, APF, has home field advantage hard-coded in it, and it doesn't. Regardless, teams historically win at home 68% of the time. So, in my opinion, it is something that is created naturally by teams within the league, just like it's a natural phenomenon that happens in real sports. So, that was a good point that I wanted to add to that. Anybody else got anything else to add to the playoff situation before I wrap this up?
I don't, but I would like to add something to the point that Charles just made up in regards to player progression.
Go ahead.
My team, since I got it, this is my second season now, I had a number of players with quote unquote bad builds. And as much as I would love to do certain things to help me be more competitive as the season goes along, I've decided to go the alternate route of building their player for the long term with a long-term goal. And so in a way, I kind of hurt myself not doing what a lot of other teams do in the short term. But if those players stick with me for the long term, it will play out for their best interest as well as the team. So I see Charles' point. I know what he's talking about without saying exactly what I know what he's saying, but I don't want to say too much on that. But I chose the road of building for the long term, and it hurts my team this season, but I have a long-term goal in mind if they decide to stay with me.
Yeah, well, and there's been several teams in the league, like Sioux Falls this season, that have a whole bunch of guys that have stayed together and just built that up. So I'm sure Arizona will be one of those teams, which I'm hoping Lone Star is going to be as well. All right.
The beauty of that was Eddie was able to answer the question and make it into a recruiting message at the same time.
That's what Eddie does.
I love y'all.
Oh, my goodness. All right, on that note, I think it's time to wrap this shindig up. Thanks to Frank the Franchise Wade. He had to bug out early, but thanks for him being on the show. Greg, appreciate you being here. Eddie, Charles, Gunny, as always. Johnny, congrats again, and thanks for sticking around. Appreciate everybody, everyone in the chat. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys supporting the show. I'm hoping that we'll keep this at 9 o'clock from now on. I'm not going to let the NFL scare me away. So it is what it is. And if you can't be here, you can always listen to it on Twitch or on YouTube. So there you go. All right. So we got the schedule. Week 10 is loaded. I mean, loaded with games. And that Monday night is going to be ridiculous. So make sure you clear your calendar for it. Thank you again for everybody being here. Appreciate all of you. Hope you all have a glorious night and a glorious Week 10 weekend. And I will see you at the tees.